Hello friends! I just painted my nails and I need to start this vlog. So I got some new gel nail polish. It's the Sally Hansen nails. I'm obsessed with them. And I got like this super dark green color. I love them. They look kind of black, but I think you can kind of see the green. I'm obsessed. I did a matte top coat. I'm obsessed. They look so cool. So hopefully they last longer because I was a lot more patient this time and actually let them dry between coats instead of not and then smudging them everywhere. So hopefully they actually last like a full 10 days. Just popping on here to kick off the vlog. So as I mentioned at the end of last week's vlog, I did get approved for an arc of Knock Knock Open Wide, which I was not expecting because Tor, I feel like Tor is one of the harder publishing companies to get arcs from. I feel like I've asked for so many arcs in the past and they've always declined me. So I don't know why they accepted me now. So grateful though, because I'm really enjoying this book so far. So I'm like, I think 10-15% into it. I started it last night and I'm creeped out. Like, this is real creepy. So we're following our main character and all the characters have very, I think it's like Scottish inspiration for this book. So they all have very Scottish names and I cannot pronounce them. We follow our main character and one of her friends has invited her to like this party and her house is like really far away on this really twisty road. So she drives out there and it sounds like our main character is kind of struggling with money and maybe isn't doing the best financially, and her boyfriend Barry is there and he proposes to her, and so she spends the night, and so she gets up the next morning and she is a aide, I guess. I don't know, she has like a certain role at this like store. I think she's just like the cleaner person, so she needs to get back to work, and so she takes her car and she's leaving. I think it's like really early morning, so it's still dark outside, and there's this dog in the middle of the road and it's like eating something, and it turns out there's a dead body in the road. And then all these creepy things start happening. All these dogs come out of nowhere. Like, if you weren't scared of dogs before reading this book, you're going to be scared of dogs. Like, I have always been slightly scared of dogs, like big dogs, just because their mouths are just huge. Like, their jaws are just terrifying. So that scene was real terrifying, and so I think she's still traveling at the point where I'm at in the book, and it's interesting. I don't really know where it's going. There has been a mention of this old children's show that I'm assuming has some sort of puppet involved, which is real creepy. So honestly, don't know much more other than that, but I'm quite enjoying it and I am so excited to have an arc of this book. So this is a book for October. Like, I have this for my October TBR, but I'm reading it now because I have the arc and it comes out not this Tuesday but next Tuesday, so I want to get it done before it does come out, so maybe Tor will accept me for more arcs in the future if I like read them on time. So anyways, loving that. And then I did start a new audiobook as well, which is Inkblood Sister Scribe. This is also from my October TBR. I just decided to start it. This audiobook is really long, so I figured I'm not gonna finish it this week, so I might as well start it and then I can finish it super early on in October, because I got a lot of books I want to read in October and I kind of gotta read them because they're for Spookopoly-thon. So far this one's pretty good. We're following two sisters who are kind of estranged. They are part of like a magical family who is typically taking care of magical books, and something awful happens to their father and it was because of those books, and so their mother wants nothing to do with these magical books, but the one sister is taking care of them while the other one is off in like Antarctica, and I don't really know why. I think she's like doing research there or something, and I imagine they're gonna have to come together and do something, but it's going okay so far. I don't love it, I don't hate it. I feel like I'm still trying to like figure out what the heck's going on. And then I need to start reading my Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook because in like 2 weeks I have my very first session and I'm extremely nervous about it. So my goal is to like have most of this read so I can at least understand something and have it annotated. So I pulled out some fun tabs. I love these. They're like little dark academia tabs. Obsessed. Like, they're so cute. So I want to use these, and I have these as well. So I need to start annotating that and like reading reading it. It's basically my homework for the next 2 weeks. So I think I'm gonna read that. It's currently like 4:35, so it's almost time to head down. My camera is dying, so it's almost time for dinner, but we're gonna read and I'll chat with you all later. Hello, happy Monday. Today was wild. My hair looks crazy. I swear I look like Cindy Lou Who or something from whatever movie that is, like The Grinch. You know how The Grinch Stole Christmas? That's exactly how my hair looks, but whatever. So it's Monday. Today at work was wild. My supervisor was gone, so I just had a bunch of people asking me a bunch of questions, and thankfully I was able to answer most of them. And we have auditors in this week, so they are basically looking at like every scrap of paper we've ever touched and analyzing it. Although they're mainly taking like samples from other departments, but in finance they're like literally looking at everything we've ever done for the fiscal year, and it's kind of crazy. So I wasn't expecting them to need anything from me in grants because they just got here today, so like I didn't figure they would be needing anything, and so I was kind of hoping with my supervisor being gone they wouldn't be asking for anything, but that was short-lived because like shortly after lunch my supervisor came over and it's like, hey, would you be able to handle getting the auditors what they need? And I'm like, sure. So I gathered all the grant files that I thought they would need, and then I went and talked to one of my coworkers and I'm like, hey, what should I be gathering for them? Because like I didn't want to just be giving them a bunch of stuff that they, you know, didn't need. So I actually got a list that my supervisor created that I had no clue about, and got that printed off and then used that, and I got all the grants I think that they wanted, and worst case if I didn't get them all I could just bring it down to them. But that was the majority of my afternoon, and then there's like a major emergency thing that like needed to happen today, so working on that in between, gathering all these files. And then right at 5 o'clock there was a thing that needed to be worked on, so I stayed late and worked on that. So it was just crazy. Truly crazy today. But, you know, made it happen, made it work. Glad I could handle grants by myself today, but it was crazy. So, for reading updates, I do have a couple. So first of all, I did read Something is Killing the Children, which is a comic. It's volume 1. I read this because it is a prompt for the side quest in Aurelium Academy. I did originally have the wishing game for this prompt, but I really didn't want to read it, so the prompt was to read a book that's been recommended to you somewhere. So I just went out on Goodreads. I went to horror specifically, and the very first result was this. So I'm like, well, let me see if my library has this. So Hoopla, love Hoopla. Hoopla's like my go-to for comics, graphic novels, all of that. If I want to read one, I'm reading it on Hoopla because I don't have to pay for it, and I love their service. I do wish you could like read it on your Kindle, like the Kindle app, instead of the Hoopla app, because I really don't like the Hoopla app for reading on, but that's a story for another day. So I read this last night and I did not like it, like at all. So we follow our main character, who of course I do not know their name, and he is a student, I believe he's like in middle school or high school, and he's at like a sleepover with a bunch of his friends, and he tells this scary story about seeing this thing in the woods, and of course, being boys, they have to go explore the dark, creepy woods in the middle of the night. So they go do that, and it ends up that everybody but the main character dies. I forgot what I was saying. I got a text and now I don't remember what I was saying. Yes, so all his friends are dead, and he's the only one who survived. So people from his high school think that he did it because he's always been kind of like the loner and like nerdy, stereotypical kid. So people just automatically assume he's just weird and killed his friends. So he obviously didn't. There's something in the woods, and something is killing the children, you know, plays into the title. So there's this girl who comes in town. She's super mysterious, but she's like a monster killer, and she apparently is gonna hunt down this monster and kill pilot. She's from some sort of like organization from what we can gather. And it's, I don't know. I really didn't like the art style in this. I don't know. It was just so graphic, which I guess I should have expected that from being like a horror comic. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be so gross and like showing so much detail about things. I don't mind reading horror. Like, horror is like one of my absolute favorite things to read, but I don't like seeing it. Like, I don't love scary movies and I don't love movies like that. Like, I love the Scream franchise. That's about as far as I'll go with like horror, because I just don't like seeing it. Like, but reading it I'm fine, which doesn't make sense because my brain can sometimes do a worse job of like picturing things even worse than if I was just seeing it. I don't know. I think it's a thing of like seeing it rather than like imagining it. So anyways, I just did not like it, so I gave it 2 stars. I will not be continuing with that, and I might be scarred for a while after reading that. Like, truly, it was real gross. So I truly wouldn't recommend it. Like, I don't say that very often, but I really wouldn't recommend this unless you love that kind of thing, but not for me. And then today I finished the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I'm just as shocked as you are to say that I loved this. And the reason why I'm shocked is because the first time I tried to read this, like I mentioned, I think at the end of like last week's vlog, I tried to read this a couple years ago when it first came out, and I gave it like 2 stars. Like, I hated it. I only got like 20% in, and I think at the time I just didn't understand the difference between what an author is writing about and an author's own views. Like, I feel like I just considered whatever an author writes about, that's exactly how they think about things. And that's just not true. And I didn't think that about every book I read. I was just hypercritical of some books talking about certain topics and things, and I just don't think that's true. And this book definitely hits on some really heavy topics. There's a lot of talk on racism, sexism. There's so many other isms that are talked about in this book that I cannot think of because my brain is just kind of dead right now, but it was such a good book. So good. I desperately need to own a copy of this, which I did, and I regrettably got rid of it. Like, I am so mad I don't have my beautiful hardcover of this book anymore, but I really enjoyed this. Like, it was so good, and I enjoyed it in the way that this author wrote this story, not in like, you know, the horrible things that happened, but it was just so well done. And I'm so glad that present day me decided to pick this up again, because I think Grady Hendrix has an amazing skill of writing horror and making it not like, ooh, bloody scary, but like making it like really sinister in a different way. And I just loved this. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars. Do you know how few amount of 5-star reads I've had this year? I could probably count on one hand how many 5-star reads I've had. It's depressing. Like, my reading year has not been bad, but I've only been giving like 4 and 3-star reads. That's it. I've had like no 5 stars. I've had a decent number of 2 stars. I've DNF'd a fair amount of things. It's just sad. So I almost want to put my reading challenge goal for next year at like 52 books, because maybe if I focus more on the quality of the books rather than the quantity, maybe I'd see an increase in more favorites. And this sounds really weird coming from a booktuber, but I kind of want to read less. Like, I feel like I read too much, which doesn't even make sense, I know, but so many booktubers read like 200 plus books a year, and I truly do not understand how they do that. I just think, for me personally, I like having more of a balance between TV shows and reading, and this year I've definitely just been like reading and not watching TV shows hardly at all, and I like having more of a balance. Like, I like being able to like watch a couple episodes of something, read a couple pages, and not feel like I have to read like 20 books a month, which I never do, but you know what I mean? I just feel like if I read 5 to 8 books a month, my reading quality would be so much better, instead of reading like 10 to 15 books a month. So I don't know. I don't know if that would like ruin the quality of my videos because I'm not reading a copious amount, but it just makes me wonder how that would look and how I would feel about that if I were to focus more on just what sounds good and reading from my giant physical TBR. It's truly gotten ginormous this year. I had it down to like 60, 70 books at the beginning of 2023, and it is right back up to like 170. I've truly hauled so many unread books. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so I think that is it for reading updates. I am still reading Knock Knock Open Wide. I'm loving it. I don't quite understand what's happening because it reminds me a little bit of Vita Nostra, in which you don't really understand what's going on, but it's definitely kind of dark and sinister. This book definitely has that aspect as well, but I feel like this book makes more sense than Vita Nostra. I just am really enjoying it. And there's like two different timelines. There's like one set in like 1999 following this girl Betty going to university, and she's starting to kind of maybe get tied back to the 1979 plot line, which is interesting because the 1979 plot line is just super creepy, scary. I don't really know what's going on, but it's a really creepy plot line. And then the 1999 plotline is more of like normal everyday life. So I just feel like they're gonna mesh at some point, but we haven't quite gotten there. But I'm kind of starting to see the ties, like they're starting to happen. But it's so good. Like, it's so well written. Like, it's really a beautifully written story, but it's real creepy, which I love. So I'm having a great time with that. And my audiobook is Ink Blood Sister Scribe, which I did not listen to this morning because I just didn't want to, quite frankly. But I'm 20% into that. It's going fine. I'm not obsessed with it. It's probably gonna be like a 3-star for me. Like, it's truly really just bland. Like, it's okay. So listening to that, I should have that done this week. And then I think my next workbook will be My Heart is a Chainsaw, because I have the audiobook on Scribd. Even though I do have the ebook on Kindle Unlimited, I might listen to it instead because just like having an audiobook for work, and I can usually just buzz through that real quick. So that's the plan. I've been chatting for way too long. It's already like 9:10. I should have been asleep like 20 minutes ago, but it's fine. I just don't sleep anymore. That's fine. Everything's fine. I'll chat with you all later. I bought more books. So I went to Barnes & Noble today at lunch with my mom, and I was mainly there to get a birthday present for a friend, which I will show you the book I got for them because they won't see this video. So I got them a copy of House of Leaves because this is one of my absolute favorite like horror books of all time. It is so good, and I had such a visceral experience reading this book. I just want to pass it along. This book is so great, and it's one of my absolute faves. So bought them a copy, and then my mom wanted to get me a book or two for helping her set up her desk, which was really nice. Like, I told her, you don't have to do that. Like, I was happy just to do that. Like, I love setting up people's desks and getting their computers set up and stuff. Like, I find that really fun. But she insisted, so I picked out 2 books, and the first one I picked was from the buy one get one half off section, so I had to pick another one to make it worth it. So my mom got me My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I can't find this book anywhere. Like, my library doesn't have it, Scribd doesn't have it, Libby doesn't have it. Like, there's no digital version of this book that I can find, so I just bought it. So I'm so excited to read this. I'm really getting into reading at Grady Hendrix. I'm becoming more and more obsessed with his work, so excited to have this one. And then I'm not like super interested in this one, but it's short and it does sound kind of interesting, and that is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I thought this was a different book, which the book I was thinking of was The Troop, but that's obviously a different book because that book I've heard is like the creepiest, freakiest book ever. This one, I've heard like pretty good things about for the most part, and I could have sworn Kayla from Books and Lala read this, but now I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. So it's real short. It's like horror-ish, and you know, it'd be good for a readathon because it is short, and I'm really growing my horror collection because I'm becoming a horror girly. Every time I say that word, I'm like, I feel like I'm saying something else, but y'all know what I mean, right? Okay, I hope so. And then I bought myself 2 books because I just wanted to, you know? So the first one is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which I'm real annoyed that they thought it was a good idea to, you know, change up the size of his books. Like, excuse me, look at this height difference. That is unacceptable. But then looking at the spines, this is published by Quirk Books, and this is published by Berkeley. So I don't know if he switched publishers or what, but I don't appreciate the size difference. And also, the font is like so small, but the font in this book is beautiful and large. Like, why, dude? Why? So, like I said, I'm in my Grady Hendrix era, I guess. So I bought this. My library does have the audiobook for this, which I'm currently waiting for, but I do want to listen to this somewhat soon, so hopefully it'll come in during spooky season and I can read it. But it does have the flop factor to it, so that slightly makes up for it, but like not really. And of course, I had to get a copy of the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I gave this 5 stars. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I freaking love this book so much more. Like, I am so happy I reread this because I just loved this so much, and it's just, oh, it's such a good time. Such a good time. I really like the paperback. Like, it's just so pretty, so floppy, and I think I might face this book out on my shelves just because I just love it. So also, I love knowing how this cover plays into the book too. Like, I thought, like, okay, having like, you know, peaches or whatever on the cover, that's interesting, but it really plays a big part in the book, which I really like. So that is my little book haul. So, you know, I'm only adding 3 books to my TBR because I did read one of them, and then the other book is a gift, so it's not even for me. So I didn't do too much damage, you know, could have been worse. I am going to head down to my parents for dinner as always, but just wanted to come on here, say hello. I will give you all a quick reading update. So I'm still reading Knock Knock Open Wide, which is going really good. I'm really enjoying it, but it's gotten a little bit slower in the last like 20% of the book. We have been introduced to a new character named Betty, and she's set in like the 1990s-ish, and it's becoming more and more apparent how her timeline is connecting to the like creepy timeline we're introduced to in the beginning. I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm at the point in the book where it's like, okay, where are you going? What's the point? We're just kind of in this limbo right now where nothing's really happening. It's just like domestic things are happening, like character relationships are having issues or whatever. And it's like, okay, where's the creepy stuff? That's why I'm here. So I'm kind of waiting for that to come back into the picture or play a part or do something. So I think the chapter I just left off on this morning was going back to like the 80s timeline, which is like the creepy one. So I'm hoping some more creepy stuff happens because it started off so strong in the creepy factor. Then it's gotten really slow and just kind of like contemporary almost. But I want to go back to the creepy. I want to go back to creepy. So I hope it does that because the creepy was really well done. So hopefully that happens, but that's where I'm at with that. And then I'm like 40% into My Heart is a Chainsaw. This book is wildly written. It is just just wild. It's written unlike any other book I've ever read before. It's very chaotic, and it really matches the main character Jade, who is very chaotic. She has this very strong obsession with slasher movies and would just talk about them non-stop if you let her, which is great. Like, I get that. I'm a quite obsessive person myself. Like, when I love something, I'm gonna talk about it non-stop and be completely obsessive with it. Like, case in point right behind me. So I get it, but it's also kind of exhausting to read from her perspective, because it is just so like, oh my gosh, listen to me talk about stuff, you know. It's like, whoa, honey, chill out. So she's pretty chaotic, and I'm slightly understanding what's going on, but at the same time, it's just very chaotic. That's truly the only word for this book, but it's fine. I don't think I like it too much, to be honest. Like, I think it's good, but I don't know if I want to continue with the series. But I guess we'll see how it ends, because I'm only like 40% into it. And then Inkblood Sister Scribe is my audiobook, and it's going fine. Like, it's just such a typical YA feeling book. It is adult. I did check. It is an adult debut book by this author. Like, this is her first book ever. And it's reading very YA and very young adult, which is fine. I just realized I just said the same thing twice. YA and young adult are the same thing. Come on, brain. Come on. It's fine. The audiobook's good. I feel very meh about it, which it makes it hard to talk about. It's fine, like, truly, like, there's nothing bad happening. I just don't really feel much, because I just don't like YA anymore. Like, I obviously still have a ton of YA on my shelves, but I just am trying not to read it anymore, because I feel like I'm really finding myself enjoying adult books way more, especially like adult horror books and adult fantasy. Like, those are my jam right now. And of course, adult romance. Like, romance, horror, fantasy. Those are my top three. So anywho, that is pretty much it for this update. I'm gonna head down for dinner and hopefully get a workout in tonight. I've kind of switched my schedule now. So I am laying in bed most of the morning reading my book, which is amazing, before I get up, feed the cats, do my morning chores, get ready for work. And then when I get home, I get dressed as if I'm gonna go work out, and then I go to my parents' house, eat dinner, hang out with them for a bit, and then as soon as I get home, because I'm dressed in my workout clothes, I can walk right into the workout room, get a workout in, and then come upstairs, do whatever chores need to be done, like make my lunch or just get ready for bed, and then lay in bed and read just a little bit, like not read too much, but just enough to like fall asleep to. And it's been great. Like, I've been reading so much more, and I just am not a morning workout person, because I really like to cycle. Like, I have this new indoor bike and I love it. Like, I just want to use that. But when I do, I build up such a sweat. I'm like just sweating buckets, and it's not fun having to go to work and like your face is red and you look like you've just been hit by a bus, and it's not a look. So I think if I could get like a more intense workout in the evenings and like be all disgusting, then at least I'm not having to go to work like that, and then I could just go take a shower and like get ready for bed. But I find it hard to like be motivated to go work out for a good 30 minutes as soon as I wake up. But in the evening, I have a little bit more energy. That seems to be where my energy is better, it seems, at least right now. So we're just trying whatever works at this point. So anyways, I'm truly gonna go this time, and I will chat with you all later. I don't know why my phone stand in my car is completely messing up and is like filming crooked. We're just gonna go with it. I just don't care. So, hi, it's Friday. I went to the library and I'm currently on lunch, obviously, and I got some books. So I have been waiting for these books to come in, like all of them all at once, so I could just do one trip to the library and call it good. So they finally all came in today, so I went and picked them up, which was great because one of them was about to go back in like 2 days. So we got Mr. Magic, which is for my book club. So we'll be reading this for the month of October, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know too much about it. It's just really short, and I love the cover. It's so creepy. And then I got Livy Blake's 2 newest books, which just, I'm so sorry if I'm not showing you the books properly. There's just a lot of people around here. I don't know why I chose now to be the time to film this, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it, I guess. So I got, here, I'm just gonna go like this so maybe people won't look at me. I got Masters of Death and One for My Enemy. So I got these because I don't exactly want to buy her books, because I read whatever that book is called, the Atlas 6, like the first edition of that, the Indie Pub. I didn't really like it that much, but I do want to reread that book with traditional publishing because it might be better. I've heard that it is better. So I do want to try that. And then I do want to read her other books. Plus, I got approved to read an arc of hers, which is Alone with You in the Ether, which is coming out later this month. So I do want to read her books. Like, I love the concepts of her books. I just haven't loved reading them. So hopefully rereading Atlas 6 will be good. And then I got her 2 latest and an arc of her newest. So I'm real hyped. But anyways, I need to head back to the office because lunch is just about over. So I will chat with you all later. We made it through the week. Oh my gosh, this week was wild. At least it was for me. So at work, I do work in finance, and we had auditors this week, which they are super important. Like, we definitely need to be audited every year, but boy, is it stressful. And it's like, I'm not stressed that we're not gonna pass, because like, I'm not worried about that, but it's just stressful because they're asking so many in-depth questions, and this is my first time going through an audit process, so it's all new to me. But I feel like it went well, and thankfully they mainly talked to my supervisor. The only thing they asked from me was gathering files, and they had a very specific kind of file they were looking for, so they just wanted state and federal grants that were over $100,000 for the fiscal year. But anyways, so they are moving on to other departments, but finance always takes them like a week because we just have so much. And it's done though. It's done. So I'll be really curious to see how we did. Obviously we don't know. They have to like compile their notes or whatever they do. I have no clue. And we'll see how we do, but I'm sure we'll do fine. So that's been taking up a lot of time at work, but it's going well. I haven't read a huge chunk this week, but I will be finishing quite a few books this weekend, hopefully. So I'm still reading Knock Knock Open Wide, which I have like 2 hours left. It all makes sense, and it is tying into the creepiness, but it was just such a slice of normality amongst all this horror. It just almost didn't seem to fit, but I guess it kind of fits in and of itself because we could just be going through life and then like horrific things happen. So I don't mind it. So I feel like I'm enjoying this book more the more I think about it, and the more I'm like, wow, this is actually like a really cleverly done book, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's not, I feel like, very stereotypical. Like, it's very different, very unique. It really truly stands out as something I can't compare to anything else, which I really like. So quite enjoying this, to be honest. And then I am still reading My Heart is a Chainsaw, which I'm liking more as I'm reading it too. Like, our main character Jade is definitely hard to like, but at the same time, the more you learn about her and her past and her parents and what she's been going through, I really feel more and more empathy for her. I still don't like love her as a character, but I definitely am rooting for her more, and I definitely think the audiobook makes Jade way more likable than if I was just reading this myself. I just feel like the narrator is really pushing the tone of Jade a lot better than I would. Like, I would not be reading her comments the way that the narrator is, which is so obvious, but like, you know what I mean? Like, she just is really bringing Jade to life in a way that I would not have, and I really appreciate that. And what's the other book I'm reading? Ink Blood Sister Scribe. Again, another book. I initially was like, it's fine, but I'm getting more into it. It's honestly getting really interesting, and I feel like I may have mentioned this already, but this is an adult book, which I'm still just like, how? I just don't feel like this book is very adult in its themes. Like, it feels very YA, which is not a bad thing. I'm kind of not into YA anymore. It's going good. I actually plan on finishing that book tomorrow because I have a ton of chores I want to do tomorrow. I'm hoping I can finish that book then, and then I may try to finish My Heart is a Chainsaw as well because I don't have too much left, even though that is like my audiobook for work. I may try to finish it tomorrow as well, or this weekend, and then I will definitely finish Knock Knock Open Wide. So I'll give you all my final thoughts in next week's vlog for those titles, but I'm excited. And I also renewed my library books that I got like a week ago because I'm like, I do not have time to read all these before they need to go back, and I do need to read them. It's not like library books that I would just send back, oh well, I didn't read them. Like, I actually need to read these because they're for like book clubs and readathons, and I have to read them. So I went ahead and renewed them, and it made it to where they're due at the end of October, which is perfect. I don't think I'll have them done that late in the month. Like, I plan on reading them next, but I just feel better. Like, all my books are now due on the same day instead of having some due the 11th, some due the 27th. Now they're all due the 27th, which is great. So I hope it's just a productive weekend. I always spend Saturdays doing a ton of chores, and like, I just listen to an audiobook like all day Saturday. As soon as I wake up, audiobooks in, doing chores till like 1 in the afternoon or so, and then I might switch to doing something else, like watch some TV for a bit, and then get a workout in, and then dinner. Like, that's like my basic Saturday, like every Saturday. And then Sunday's more like get up, read in bed, feed the cats, and just like physically read all day, plus do some other little things. So I just love that. Like, that's my very predictable weekend. Like, that's basically how it goes. Although for October, I have a party like every single weekend because like 50% of my family is born in October, like my aunt, my mom, me. So there's a ton of October birthdays, and even my nephew. Like, there's so many of us that are born in October. So there's a lot of birthdays to celebrate, and there's just a lot of parties I've been invited to, which is not my typical. Like, I don't get like invited to parties, like, not to be like other girls, you know, but truly, I just don't really attend very many parties. But I've been invited to 2 parties that are not like family parties, which is fun. One of them is my first D&D session, which I'm still so nervous about. So I also need to read my D&D handbook. I think I have like 9 pages left, and it's like the last chapter, and it's all about combat. And then I was gonna kind of breeze through some of the spells, maybe just like read the titles of them, because I don't think I need to like read those. I think it's more of like reference point, but I'm still incredibly nervous. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know who's gonna be there. I don't know like what I'm gonna do. Like, it's so many unknowns, and my brain doesn't like that, and I'm nervous. But for the other party, I'm a tad nervous for that, but mainly not because I know who's gonna be there, at least some people. So it's not like a room full of people I don't know, which same with the D&D party. There's gonna be people I know there, but I'm still nervous. So anyways, it's fine. It's fine. It's gonna be great. Like, I feel like I just panic about things up until it happens, and then by the time I'm there, I'm having a great time. But up until that point, I wanna cancel, I don't wanna go, but as soon as I'm there, I'm fine. It's real annoying. But anywho, oh my gosh, I have a rant real quick. Sorry, this is so chaotic. I just keep remembering things because I haven't chatted with you all in a few days. I have a lot to catch up on. So this rant is directly to Netflix. I love Netflix. Okay, I love their shows. I love Netflix. My mom has been a subscriber for like decades. Like, as soon as Netflix was a thing, I think she even had Netflix when they were like a DVD company or whatever. Like, you'd get like something in the mail. Like, there was something physical. I remember like getting like packages from Netflix or whatever. Anyways, we had Netflix since then and loved them. It's been great. Love the shows, Bridgerton, Heartstopper, all of it. It's been great. Until today, I go to watch Great British Bake Off Collection 11 Episode 1 because it's available today, and it won't let me because I'm not in the same household as the owner of the account for Netflix. Like, excuse me? I have to have my own Netflix account? My parents are right down the street. Why can't I just use theirs? Oh, I was so fired up a couple hours ago. I was so mad about that, truly. We've been using Netflix for years. Why do I need my own subscription? Because my mom doesn't live here with me. Like, what the heck? So I tried to do like the add a member thing. I tried to do that because it would be like $7 more a month, which I still think is stupid, to have me be able to use their account. It wouldn't let me. Like, it would let me do it, but I would have to start my profile completely over without bringing all my shows with me, and I refuse to do that. I have so many shows on there that I've like watched entire shows of and movies I want to watch, and I don't want to lose all that. And yeah, I could just make a list, but then my new profile is not going to know that I've already watched those shows, and it's not going to know what shows I don't want to watch, like The Magicians, which is terrible. So I just was like, never mind. You know what? Fine. I will just buy my own subscription. So thankfully I was able to transfer my data from my parents' account to my own account. So I have my own now. I'm kind of not happy about it. But at the same time, Netflix is like my main streaming service. Like, that's where I watch all my cooking shows, and that's where Heartstopper lives, and Bridgerton. Like, there's so many shows that I watch that are on Netflix. It's definitely a subscription that I couldn't do without. Like, I could do without Hulu, and I could do without Disney Plus at the very worst, but Netflix is a staple. Like, I need to have Netflix. So I did get, I think it's a standard plan. It's the one without ads because I just hate ads. Why do we need ads? I know why. We don't need to get into it, but you know what I mean? I just hate them. So I picked that one. Plus it lets you download onto your devices, which I utilize so heavily when we go on trips. I love downloading a ton of episodes of all my favorite shows to have to watch, because I don't like to buy movies on like iTunes when I travel, and I don't love watching like the go in-flight internet movies and stuff. So I'd rather just have a ton of things downloaded from Netflix on my device. So I did that today, and I'm a little mad that they're doing that, but maybe it'll turn out for the better. Like, maybe that means they're gonna use all this extra revenue, because I'm sure a bunch of other families are experiencing this, and use it to make more shows or something in better production quality, which I think their production quality is fine, but you know what I mean? Like, maybe this will be a good thing for them. But at the same time, they're like a what, $1 billion company, multi-billion dollar company? Do they really need an extra $15 a month from people? Really? Anyways, rant is over. I just feel like that's quite ridiculous, but it's fine. So it doesn't break the bank for me. It's fine. I put it in my spreadsheet for expenses tracking. I still have a ton of money left over every month after all my bills and expenses. So it's fine. Like, it truly does not impact me financially very much, but it just bugs me. Anywho, that is seriously gonna be it for this vlog. I feel like not a lot of reading was done in this vlog. It was mainly just chattiness, which is fine. And I feel like I very much failed on my trying to get B-roll clips between every talking clip. I really like that. Like, I feel like that breaks up the vlog nicely. So like, you have a chatty bit, and then like you take a break, watch some scenery, and then I come back to talk, and then it's like a beautiful scenic scene or whatever, and then I come back. Like, I really like that. And I don't think I was able to achieve that very much in this vlog. So apologies that didn't happen, if you guys even care. I just think it's kind of nice, like when watching, you kind of get breaks from me just talking all the time. But anyways, that is going to be it. So if you made it this far into the video, comment some like, I don't know, TV emojis, some like stuff you would use to watch TV on, electronics, I guess, because of my rant. Just because, why not? And I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!